we're bringing in Dr. Neeta Ogden. She's an internal medicine specialist and immunologist. I've been seeing a lot of stories about pushback in California about the new restrictions, but I think that there is data, and the data maybe doesn't have to do with how many people got the virus from eating outside of a restaurant. It has to do with how many ICU beds are available, and that is why the restrictions are in place, because if you run out of beds, it doesn't matter that there's a vaccine on the horizon. Between now and the springtime, a whole lot of people are going to die or go through a really tough situation with the virus if they don't follow the rules. But let me just get into this. A little bit of a rant there before I start, Doctor. The FDA released a promising new data on the Pfizer vaccine, showing that the vaccine is very safe and it's very effective. So what comes next in the final process?
So good morning. Yesterday's analysis from the FDA that was released of the Pfizer vaccine basically confirmed what we've been seeing all along, which is that we're hearing all along that it's 95% effective, that efficacy sort of applied to all the age groups that they examined, races and genders. And they also revealed some new information that after the first dose, there's actually immunity conferred after 10 days, about 50% efficacy. So the next steps involved is on Thursday, the advisory panel is going to weigh in on whether it should receive emergency use authorization. And it's likely that this will pass, and within hours, we're going to see that vaccine being rolled out to the United States and all the different, the states that have applied for it, and they will be getting their different doses, the numbers that they've been allocated based on their application. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. The advisory panel will probably also weigh in on things like whether, certain age groups, the younger age groups, there was a 16 to 18-year-old group that was being looked at, whether they might also be included in the rollout. So things like that remain to be seen.
Doctor, the University of Oxford published a new paper detailing the findings of its coronavirus vaccine trials. The results showed 70% efficacy overall, but still leaves several questions unanswered. Oxford scientists say, quote, further work will be required. So what do we know what do we still need to know, rather, about this vaccine?
Yeah, so the AstraZeneca vaccine it's encouraging. I mean, the vaccine in the data that was released in the Lancet shows that it is safe. It had a good safety profile. And the numbers that sort of were released last week showed this variation. So they say that it's 60% effective, but then in about 2,800 participants, they were given a different dose, only a half first dose and then a full dose for the booster, and that led to a 90% efficacy. But that number of 2,800 participants really isn't enough, so they averaged it out as 70%. So I think that everybody wants to see more data from this trial. They're still in their phase 3 trial enrolling those 30,000 participants here in the United States because the vaccine was held up by a delay when people in Europe developed side effects. So basically, we do at least in the United States, we do need more information for this to get that emergency use authorization. They still have a ways to go because of that delay as well. But a lot of people look at the AstraZeneca vaccine with a lot of hope because it's cheaper, it's easy to store. It's something that could probably lead to more mass vaccinations than some of these other vaccines like the mRNA vaccine, which have those cold chain requirements.
So back to the Pfizer vaccine, in the UK, the National Health Service was told not to give the Pfizer vaccine to people with a history of what they call significant allergic reactions, because it seems a couple of people did have a reaction to the vaccine. What can you tell us about these complications?
So, there are 2 people that had a reaction, an adverse reaction. Unfortunately, we don't have much more data than that. So 2 people among thousands who were vaccinated yesterday. And I think that we just basically need more information. Unfortunately, they've given this sort of blanket recommendation that people with severe or a history of severe or serious allergic reactions should not get the vaccine right now. I think it's very important that right away they sort of establish what were these people allergic to? What's their history? And what is the component in the vaccine that might be an issue here? Because we know that allergic reactions are, a possibility with any vaccine or medicine. And that's often a warning that you find, again, on any vaccine or medicine. So I think more information is needed here. We have to be really careful about just making these blanket statements that people with severe allergies or allergic reactions should avoid the vaccine. And I think that information will be coming out today.
Doctor, the United Arab Emirates said that it has proved a Chinese coronavirus vaccine. It's called Sinopharm, that's being tested in the country after preliminary data showed it was 86% effective. What do we know about this vaccine candidate, and how different is it to those candidates in Western countries?
We don't, I'm not surprised, but we don't have much data on the vaccine. Actually, the, clinical analysis of these phase 3 study of this vaccine hasn't been released, but we do have this number from the UAE that it's 86% effective, and they'll start using it. And China is behind the vaccine. When Sinopharm when news outlets reached out to them for more information, they didn't get very far. So I think it remains to be seen. We need more data, and we don't have this from China itself because they've done a very good job in sort of squashing the vaccine, or so we think. So I think we need to really hear more about what the data is, and actually, like we had in the United States, the kind of analysis we see of how effective it is, that just hasn't come out yet.
All right, Dr. Neeta Ogden, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.